The Unlimited podcast features authentic and thoughtful interviews with kingdom-focused change agents. If you're seeking transformative insights that will impact your world, join Jonathan and JR weekly as they unpack deep insights and upgrades aligned with God's Word. Grab a coffee and get your goggles. It's time to fly.
Might as well do Unity Field. So that's
That'll
actually
work.
what we're putting together on Saturday. So
That's perfect.
Beautiful.
There we go. Can y'all see that? Oh, hold on, let me.
Yes, sir. Sure can.
Okay.
That's right. That's perfect. That's beautiful.
Okay.
That fits the script, dude.
Yep.
For sure.
So, yep, that's Unity Field. So what we do is twice a year. So basically during COVID, when everything was shut down, there wasn't much going on, whatever. I actually spoke at an event in Granbury, Texas, and they have what's called honoring hometown heroes. And then so what they did is they put flags in a field, and they basically started with 300 flags, and then then they had a POW, an American flag, a larger flag that was above that. Then had the service flags in front of all those flags, and they put hero banners on those. And so in May of 2022, I actually went and spoke for Memorial Day. I went and spoke at that event in Granbury, Texas.
Wow.
And a mother of a goat star family, but her son he was actually killed in Mogadishu, Somalia, and he's in the movie Black Hawk Down. In the movie, his name was Joyce. So if you remember the movie, then the thing is, like, you remember how the guy fell out of the helicopter and how there was somebody who was running with him on a gurney and got shot in the back. That was her son. In the movie, his name was Joyce. His real name was Casey James Joyce. And but her name is Gail Joyce, and she's a national spokesperson for MOA, Military Officers Association. And so, she actually introduced her son to me on his hero banner, and then she told me, and I mean, it took me back because I mean, she walked me down a field. I was holding her. She wasn't feeling very good at the time, and so, but she wanted to introduce her son to me, and then next thing you know, she introduces me to her son through my hero banner, and I couldn't hold on any longer. I just began to cry, whatever, because they surprised me with it. And then before I spoke at that event, she said, Joshua, she said, why don't you take this concept of where you're at? She said, I heard you have land. I heard you have a project. You're building this ranch and everything for veterans. And I said, well, Gail, I said, all I have is a field. And she said, well, that's all you need is the land. And then she said something that I never spoke to anybody else as far as that aspect. So I knew it had to be what I call a God dot, like Jonathan here. But the thing is, like, she said, Joshua, if you build it, they shall come. And that's what the Lord, when he gave me the vision for the ranch, I call it my wrong term made right. And we'll talk about that during the podcast and all that. But I mean, Jonathan's actually physically seen he's been at the ranch. And like I said,
it's amazing. I love your vision, bro.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. I mean, and like I said, I see a correlation there because, like I said, I mean, one thing I want people to realize about Still Hope is it's not mining Crystal's heart. It's a borrowed heart. I mean, literally, people say if you can see your vision is not big enough. If you can see the end of the rainbow, saying, then you're not high enough yet. Is what they keep saying, and I remember when we first started our foundation and stuff. I remember what Crystal said. I mean, I remember her heart was the fact that, her intimacy with God is the fact that she wants to see altars built. She wants to see people build altars. And worship. And find their freedom and stuff. And then with me, I just want to see people find hope. And focus on the hope and the healing rather than the lack of hope and despair, but I remember when me and Crystal, we put together Still Hope, saying, I remember the whole concept was that Crystal said that, saying it's going to be so big that only God is going to be able to do the things. And when people see it, they're going to see that it wasn't Joshua and Crystal that built this. It wasn't Jonathan. It wasn't Joe, John. It wasn't Dave Reaver. This was God. From the very beginning, this was God. And so in and out, I mean, and I truly believe he gave us a perfect foundation how to build it. He gave me a perfect tagline for it. He gave me a perfect vision and calibrate. And I kind of feel like right now we're at a recalibration period, because it's like sometimes it's not the fact that you ever do wrong, but it's like there's so much more. It's like, in a sense, think about it. Okay, they were going day and night, day and night, day and night. You know, saying escaping from Israel. I mean, escaping from Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And so going to the promised land, and yet all of a sudden they hit this roadblock. What is that roadblock? It's an ocean.
Mhm.
Now, when they got to that roadblock, they had to decide right there. Okay, are we going to have a little bit more faith and believe in the impossible? Because only God was the one. I mean, it wasn't like it was a bridge. It wasn't like there was a boat coming to them. It was literally the ocean split open and it became dry land.
Yeah.
And so that's what we need to see again, is we need to see more arcs. We need to see more ocean split. You know what I'm saying? Because we're at such a dire state in our nation and around the globe that, you know what I'm saying, we're in the last days. I mean, it says in the last days that, I mean, there's two main things that it says that really calibrate in my spirit right now. Number one, it says that the heart of man is going to wax cold. But number two, it says that I'm going to pour out my spirit upon all flesh. That doesn't mean all disciples. That doesn't mean all followers of the faith. That means all flesh, women, children. You know what I'm saying? Even the enemies are going to be turned. Think about it. What was Paul? Paul was Saul before Paul, and he was a persecutor of Christians. He was actually an assassin, if you really think of it. That's exactly what he was.
Sure.
And then what did he become? He became an anointed apostle that, you know what I'm saying, was directly, you know what I'm saying, given a vision from God. And so once he was touched, his life was forever changed. So, but yeah, man.
There
So
was
awesome, guys.
no turning back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I get the sense that's where you're at in your vision, and then what the Lord's called you into is it's like, well, it's all for him anyways.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I love what I'm looking at. I have
I got my questions here. So, but,
good. Well, hey,
and to be honest with you, I'm just gonna be very transparent with you guys. So pretty much the way I run is I pretty much have it where um I don't go by script. I go straight off a heart, and then, you know what I'm saying, I truly believe in having that faith. You know what I'm saying? It's not being foolish to have faith. But I know a lot of people, they're very prompted. They're very idealistic. A lot of politicians and speakers and everything, they vet everything before they're asked, rather than saying, I mean, it's okay to have a comment to say no comment, or the fact is, I don't know the answer, but let me get back to you.
yes.
You know?
Oh, I agree with that. And
Yeah.
we're totally organic here.
I know that.
It's good to be prepared, but I think the best preparation is just to lay down your plans
Yeah.
and let God run with it, you know.
Amen.
So we're right there with you, brother. Thank you for
Absolutely.
sharing this, because that's part of the reason I start recording right up front, is because some of the best material sometimes comes right out front, and I want people to know the heart of who it is that we're visiting with, because honestly, the Outcast Network that sponsors the Unlimited podcast is here to take and lift up other people so they can actually walk in their calling and, fulfill the purpose and the plan God has for their life. So
That is awesome.
to us, this is what the church is supposed to look like. And
Yes.
if we're going to bring heaven to earth, it should look like your piece of heaven, right there in Mineral Wells, prospering, and then the next person, whether that's whatever it is, if it's as long as it's the Father's heart and it's what He's doing through somebody, it's like
Absolutely.
we want people to be able to see it for who He is and what He's doing through
Absolutely.
someone like you. And
Absolutely.
I don't know much about you other than
That's fine.
Jonathan said, "Hey, I've got this guy. I really think he'd be a good fit." And I looked at your website. I read your bio, and I could read your bio. People can go out to your website and see your bio.
Correct. Yeah.
Which, by the way, your website rocks.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, really good job.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
That's my team. I mean, and my team consists of my wife being very experienced in what she does. And then the thing is, I mean, like we actually have our own full team. I mean, my wife's been self-employed for 20 years. And Crystal, it's very incredible what she does. She's a very talented woman when it comes to designing and publications and everything like that. Now, me, I'm more the marketer and the advertising aspect of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I speak through acronyms and all that.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, it takes a team to build a dream. So
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You know, when you say that, I'm looking at that picture, your backdrop, and what I see the team, the heroes.
yeah,
They're the ones that led that we could follow.
absolutely.
I did not get to serve military. I did enlist, and I ended up having an injury that kept me from going in. And but I had the good fortune in the years following that eventually I met my bride, we're working on our 33rd year now. Eventually we'll get it right, but
That's awesome.
you
Still
know,
practicing.
yes, absolutely. But within that relationship came my father-in-law, who was military,
Yeah.
and he was in 2007 military order of the Purple Heart. He was the
Heart.
patriot of the year, and 6 Purple Hearts.
Wow.
Stories that he didn't even start talking about until actually God put me in his life, and I was the disruptor of the silence. And he just saw my heart for men. I did, interestingly enough, my wife and I, we were in Texas for 18 years. And the last 4 years, we had done ministry full time, working with guys coming out of prison. We had transformation homes in Fort Worth, but we bought a
That's awesome.
ranch out in Boyd.
Okay. Yeah, I know what
We
Boyd
had a
is.
bunch of guys that worked at Venomatic there in Mineral Wells that just got flattened.
Just got hit. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, and so it's like it's so fun to kind of connect with a brother of a different mother, around the corner. Just there's probably places we've both gone to. We didn't maybe even saw each other. I don't know, but
Absolutely.
it's just it's a small world, but there are people who made. I think Dad used to say it this way: all gave some, and some gave all.
Absolutely.
And
very well spoken. Yeah.
Honored to have you on the Unlimited podcast, because we feel like
thank you, brother.
Because God can do, He's unlimited in what He can do.
Absolutely.
And looking at your website, we pulled up a video, and it's that short one that kind of shows what's going on with the property. Would you like us to possibly kind of dip into that? And
absolutely, yeah, for sure, absolutely, yeah.
All right, let me see if I can pull it up, Josh. Hold on a second. I think
it's probably going to be the groundbreaking with the aerial drone and everything on it.
Let's see. It's Steel Hope. Can you see and hear that? Okay.
I can't see it.
Oh, you can't.
Nope. Let me see. Oh, now I can. I can now. Yep. Okay, yep. Cool. That's the groundbreaking. Yep.
Awesome.
Yes.
How long my team was that, Josh?
Okay, so the groundbreaking was actually right before COVID, like right before COVID. So this was this was September of 2020 of 2018, and then we shut the office down in January of 2020, and then we just became all faith on the ground. That's actually my son right there in the middle, and that gentleman over there with the mustache and long beard, we call him Cowboy, and he was the first veteran I met on site. Now this is my team down at Unity Park. This is Fort Worth downtown, feeding the homeless and stuff. And so it just shows what we've done. This is one of our staff right here. This is Kelly. And so we provided over 600 socks because we realized, and this is our peer group. So I had a small office above Dave's headquarters. And this right here, this was a very special group. This was, I got to train a Marine recon group with resiliency. Now, this is one of the guys that stayed there.
Did you use my skills in many?
This was during COVID, guys.
Army. That's the reason I was able to get out here. If it hadn't been that, I wouldn't have had a home. So with these good folks here, with what work I do and they're happy with it, I plan on staying. I plan on keep volunteering, and I just won't stop. I'm 68 years old. I'm healthier now. Right now, I just finished the back side of a adjoining room, pine siding, lap siding, and we're reconditioning the old now. I put in 99% of the windows and trim, and we mow. We keep it, we keep the trash out. We mow fields around the house, and I give my heart to these people for basically saving my sanity from not having home. That was the first time in my life I didn't have a place to go until my son helped save me.
Mm.
That's awesome.
Very
Beautiful.
cool.
Beautiful. Yeah. So that is the physical land of the property. So, like I kind of feel like I said before, we're at a recalibration stage. And so honestly, the thing is like, I'm going back to the basics. There's a beautiful song that's done it's done by All For Him. It's called The Basics of Life. And and if you guys had an opportunity to play music, I'm not sure if you could or not. Not if you guys would be able to do that or not. But I mean, I think sometimes people need to hear things like that. But if you could, I mean, honestly, that 3 to 5 minute song that we could play would say a lot that I couldn't say within that time. Because sometimes, sometimes you just have to hear it.
Yeah, I could go out and find it and play it, but unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to take and
and
share that. What I can do though is I'll be happy to go out and put it in the descriptive for the podcast, so people can know to go look at that, so they don't have to go searching. And I'll make sure that I have the right version. I'll send it over to you just to get you A-OK.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Yeah. And like I said, it's by a group called All For Him, it's a group. It's an older song, but it's called The Basics of Life. Basics of Life.
Oh, I can hear it in my head.
Absolutely.
You're talking to an older brother here, so I'm
absolutely
down with it.
Well, and sometimes Jim saying that's exactly what we need to do is we need to have that set up. Okay, sorry, I had a text coming in. Okay, 1 second. Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me see if let me turn my phone on. Do not disturb real quick.
Yeah.
1 second.
Yeah, this is what we call organic. This is how it really looks like in real life.
All right, he's back, I think.
Hold on 1 second. I'm getting there.
Now, while you're playing around with that, I'll go ahead and throw this up on the screen. People can get a look at your Man of Steel poster, and folks can go out to the manofsteel.com, which is your website. We'll put that in the listing descriptive as well. I love this. I do have to ask. I love the all the red, white, and blue. Even the Pepsi can. Now, what does that say? Sips? Is
that on what now?
On the Pepsi can. Yeah. It's like,
yeah. Okay, so the one thing that you guys would know is the fact that AI works on prompts, and so when you're doing prompts, the thing is, because it's a patented aspect, because you got to think about trademarks. Everything's trademarked, and so even the AI can't really. I mean, you could do that, but the thing is, they automatically misspell things all the time, because the thing is that it's trademarked. That name Pepsi is trademarked.
Yeah, they do it on purpose.
Yeah, it's done on purpose, but it's really made to collaborate and just be funny. My wife and some of my team kind of put that together for me, and it's funny to see all that, because I mean, when people see that, and then they get to meet you up front, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, man, this is right. And so I mean, and the reason I went with Pepsi is because I remember being in Iraq, and I remember actually going and getting Pepsi, and when I came back to the States, it's like it wasn't the same, because I mean, the syrup ratio versus carbon the carbon dioxide, saying just the ratio of how everything in America is diluted is so crazy. But yeah.
Well, that's another whole podcast, the dilution of America. Yeah,
absolutely, for sure. And the funny thing is how many coalition we have here, because I had no idea the name of your podcast, because actually my LLC is actually Still Living Unlimited, and so we want people to have unlimited ways of of recovery and living, And that's one thing about Jonathan and myself is that we're very diverse people, and I tell people it's all about having a very fine focus, but a very broad spectrum of that fine focus. And so that if I could describe still hope, like I was telling Jonathan before, really my hope and dream is the fact that I don't want to build an organization. I want to build an organism. I want to breathe and build living things. And I want to see fruit in all generations and in all seasons, not just certain seasons and certain generations.
Faith in action. Right, Josh?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what love is. I mean, loyalty,
Right.
obedience, valor, and exampleship. And so it's crazy how, but when I ended up having 2 brain hemorrhages stroke from a brain injury I didn't know I had, the one thing I never lost was the word of God. And the reason is, guys, is because it never was in my head. My head was damaged, but it was written on my heart. And so that's the reason why I never lost the word of God. And what the enemy tries to make bad, God always turns the good and is for his glory.
Amen.
Always.
Yeah.
So
And sometimes we can't see that balance. Sometimes we can't see that. Saying you look at the strongest man in the entire world. That was Samson. And yet they had to search for his strength, because I truly believe that he was, I believe he was fit, but I don't believe he was an Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I'm saying? I really don't believe he was like a huge looking bodybuilder, because they had to search for his strength. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, it wasn't
And
obvious. He wasn't wearing it. It was a mantle that God put on him.
No, absolutely.
That's what we get to do, right? As Christians, is the Lord that becomes our strength. We all get to be Samsons in the arena that we're called to master.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. I mean, we have God-given gifts and talents. And the thing is, and we got to realize that, I'm saying, that it's okay for us not see the same, I'm saying, and not even say the same. But the thing is, we don't have to live the same. But the thing is, what we have to do is we have to live within each other, and know that each other had strength and weaknesses, but yet it's all about coming a coalition of strengthening and becoming hand and heart linked together to be one. And because we are one body. I mean, the thing is, you can have 2 left hands, but one left hand belongs to somebody else's body. I'm saying, unless that left hand, because John might be the left hand, I'm saying, on Tuesday and Thursday, but you might be the left hand on Monday and Wednesday, and I might be the left hand on on Saturday and Sunday. And so, really, there's a song that I actually put together when I was very young. I heard a record, and you always hear the song "This Little Light of Mine." And so, but I remember years and years ago, and I remember being a young boy, and I said, I just want it every day. I want it every day, and I just kept putting it in my head. Next thing you know, these letters and these words just began to hit my heart. And so I put together a rendition of "This Little Light of Mine," and it's every day. And if you want me to, I'll sing it real quick. I mean, and that's a miracle in itself. But here it is. This a light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. This a light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This the light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day, every day, every day, I'm gonna let my little light shine. On Monday, gave me the gift of love. On Tuesday, he came from above. And on Wednesday, told me to have more faith. On Thursday, gave me a little more grace. On Friday, he told me to watch and pray. And on Saturday, he taught me just what to say. But on Sunday, he gave me the power of mind to let my little light shine. This the light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This the light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This the light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day, every day, every day, I'm gonna let my little light shine. On Monday, gave me the gift of love. On Tuesday, he came from above. And on Wednesday, told me to have more faith. On Thursday, gave me a little more grace. On Friday, he told me to watch and pray. And on Saturday, he taught me just what to say. But on Sunday, he gave me the power of mind to let my little light shine. Let it shine, let it it shine.
Woo! Come on.
Wow.
I'm liking that. We need to put some instrumental behind that.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like the enemy wants to keep you down and keep you discouraged. But the only one that can keep you down is you. I tell people all the time, if you don't like what you see in the mirror, then it's time for you to change what you see in the mirror because your wife can't do it for you, your husband can't do it for you, your spouse can't do it for you, your kids can't do it for you, even the creator himself, he can't do it for you. He's given you free will. But when that free will needs to be the fact that you need to begin to see things that you even in the moment, you might not be able to believe it. I call it the Gideon faith because think about Gideon. You know what I'm saying? Gideon was, he literally was hiding in a hole, shucking wheat, shucking wheat. And yet the angel of the Lord said, mighty man of valor,
I
mighty
just
warrior.
read that this morning, Josh.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
part of
bro.
my devotional. Yeah.
And so I tell people, the thing is like, we got to allow God things to be God things in God's time, God's control. You know what I'm saying? We got to stop trying to be the creator when we're only the creation. But He's given us the ability to create new things. But it's all from tapping in through the creator that we are new creation. And yet what we're doing is creating new, but there's nothing new under the sun. So it's not like we're taking anything and making anything new. It's just, but God makes all things new. That's the thing. Because like me, my esophagus, my voice was completely gone, guys. 33 days. I had no voice, not one single word, you know, and,
Wow.
and so it's a miracle, but it was a miracle that my wife was praying for that now I literally have had over 100 surgeries, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to GI issues and stuff like that. And yet, June 28th of 2024, I literally would go take a bite of food and I choked and I had a complete block. And next thing you know, I was 5 minutes away from losing my life. I was bleeding out. I had 19 centimeters tear on the inside. And so they had emergency intubate me and ventilate me, and it was so severe that they couldn't even send me to the OR. They had to do bedside surgery at the ER. And for
Wow.
33 days, I was completely nonverbal. I couldn't speak one word. And then I had to write on a tablet. And then when I was able to speak a word, it was just a whisper. So they gave me a microphone that had an amplified device. And I learn how to speak like that and just build that projection up. And so I didn't even know if I was ever going to be able to sing again or anything. But let me tell you what happened in the 33 days of my silence, guys. My wife found her voice. God gave my wife a voice. And what happened? He showed me I had to value my voice. I lost my voice, guys, because I didn't value it.
Oh.
And then He gave me a new voice. He gave me a new vision for the same victory that He already called me to have. I realized that I did not have to start every day in defeat to get to victory, that I could start every day in victory and help other people to see that victory in Jesus as well.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, He doesn't waste anything.
No, absolutely.
He used. I think you speak to that on your website. That
Yeah.
this is each one of these oppositions is the opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and that's the thing. It's like no seed. You know what I'm saying? Like a farmer, all he does is plow the field, but he has to have that faith. But he throws not knowing any return.
Right.
You have to have that blind faith. You know what I'm saying? Where you throw, and it's not about, because your job is only to sow. Your job it is only to sow and to reap. It's never to control. And when God is in control, you don't have to have your hands on it. My foundation runs in Africa, not because I have my hands on it, because I know the hand of God is over my ministry and organization.
Yeah.
And I've seen handfuls on purpose. I've seen the Boaz faith. I've seen the Esther. I've seen the kings. I've literally seen a king that took his scepter and put it down for me to have authority to speak in his country over his kingdom. And that's King Bale JJ of one of the poorest regions of all of West Africa, called Makoko Village. And this is where the grassroots of ISIS, Boko Haram, was his headquarters at. This is like the decree of Iraq. where we got Saddam. See, I was part of Operation Red Dawn. See, I was part of that first operation. I was part of the second wave of the first surge of 4ID coming from Fort Hood. A lot of people went from Fort Carson and 30 ACR. But other than special operations, Fort Hood, or actually 4th ID, we were the first ones out of the United States. There was 3rd ID and there was special operations and Marine groups and stuff. But other than that, we were the first one. We were supposed to go to Turkey in early 2020, early 2002, and they ended up shutting the border. And so then everything that we had to go to Turkey, they said, you're going to go to Kuwait and do a peacekeeping mission. We were only supposed to spend 6 months in Kuwait, and yet we didn't spend 6 days in Kuwait before we went to the surge of Iraq. And we didn't, I mean, like we went in blind. We went in blind, but we didn't go in dumb. Like we went in, you know, saying fully armored, you know what I'm saying? And I tell you, we didn't have a lot of casualties, you know what I'm saying? My first go around, but we had a lot of injuries. I mean, I was one of the injuries, and I tried to act like nothing ever happened. I mean, I tell people, guys, you know, the 3 things, you know, that, you know, the things that you're ashamed of, you can't talk about. Pride blinds you from seeing the reality around you. It truly blinds you from seeing the reality around you. But there's a small thing that truly people don't have the fruit of. Very few people have confidence. And so my definition of confidence is the substance that supports the structure that lays the foundation for your character. I'll say it again. It's the substance that supports the structure that lays the foundation for your character. So how do I know that I have faith? And how do I know that it's actually an action? Well, it says in Hebrews, you know what I'm saying? Is it Hebrews 11? It says, you know what I'm saying, that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I like to say not yet seen, because the same word says that everything in darkness shall be revealed in light. Every idle word will be judged.
Mhm.
And so out of all the things, and I actually wrote a series a long time ago as a pastor and everything called More Than Potential. And if you think about Lot's wife, out of all the things she could have turned into, why was it a pillar of salt? Have you ever asked yourself that?
Nope.
I did. And so the Lord revealed to me that it was potential, because she was given, and I truly believe this is where the Dead Sea came from, guys, because it is the most sodium efficient, you know what I'm saying, place. I mean, it has nothing but nutrients in it. There's no living fish or anything in it. It's too salty for that aspect. But they use it for face creams. I mean, it is the most moisturized and more seasoned of all. But I believe thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. I believe, because see, when God does for one, he has to do for all. He's a just God. And so I believe that after she was given the final call to not turn back, she turned back. And I believe it wasn't just her. I believe there was thousands of people that turned back, and they became pillars of salt, because they had great potential, but they never tapped into it. And see, since God judged that, it became light. What was in darkness became in light. And so that was their potential. We have potential, but what are we doing with it? See, we're given 86,400 seconds. That's any seconds we have per day. But it's like, what are you doing with what you've been given?
Yeah. A lot of people are just waiting for Jesus to come back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they, you know, got their fire insurance and just holding on, you know, praying for the rapture,
And sitting on their booties and not doing anything.
But we have to have that Nehemiah faith. We have to be able to fight and build, and we have to have that Gideon aspect. It's okay to hide in the hole. Just know that what God is doing, that the supernatural can still flow through you. See, I mean, because even Gideon, you know, even though he was full of fear and he was hiding, but what was he doing? He was still working. He was still working, guys. That's the thing. I think a lot of people, because there's nothing wrong with hiding. There's nothing wrong with being afraid.
right.
The word of God does not say that that it's a sin to be afraid. It says, be angry and sin not, but it also says, don't let, and that's the thing. It's like, in a sense, what are we holding on to? Are we holding on to fear, or are we saying, hey, I have a fear, but my fear of the Lord is greater than my fear of man, or fear of displacency, or fear of disease, or fear of, abandonment, or fear of discouragement, or fear of abuse. It's like, what fear is stronger? Because the fear of God is a reverence that is going to help you squash out the other fears of man, the other fears of this world.
Amen. Amen.
And so, like, I tell people one is a saddle, one is a weight. I tell people all the time, there's two weights in life. There's two anchors in life. There's an anchor that holds you down, and there's an anchor that supports you as you begin to move forward. And so, Jonathan, did you get that book yet? Some of my life lessons. That
I
first one.
did.
You did.
Yes.
Okay. So I wrote that book with two fingers. After I had the stroke, I only had one finger on this left hand. My hand became atrophy. It became seized up like this. And as I looked in the mirror, I remember it was my turning point. That you guys are saying, January 16, 2003. That was my giving my life to the Lord. But the main turning point as far as understanding that, because I had been hurt in war, that I had stopped looking in the mirror, that I literally began to stop. I mean, I really believe that isolation was my independence. And I believe a lot of people get caught up in that trap, that they believe isolation is their independence. They don't understand that isolation is your desolation, and that literally it will destroy you. If you're paralyzed, then you have atrophy sitting in. And the less movement you have of the body, even the manual movement that you can do with straps, or, saying manually moving your body left and right, or just doing, exercises, and, having different strengthening abilities, that's keeping atrophy. That's keeping you limber. That's keeping you moving. But when you stop moving, that's when you begin to you begin to start rotting, and things begin to die.
Yeah.
And it's going to start with nerves. It says in the word, it says, saying people die because they have lack of what? Vision. So then I began to ask the Holy Spirit, Lord, what is vision? What is vision? And so if a guy with a brain injury, a severe traumatic brain injury that's been documented, saying, if I can become a public speaker, if I can be an adaptive fitness athlete, if I can do all these things, then have you asked yourself, my friends, what can you do? Not what can't you do? Because don't focus on the 99 things that life, depression, disease, discouragement, and everyday life that beats you down tells you can't do. What's the one thing you can do? Because you realize if you change 1% of yourself every day, in 100 days, you're a whole nother person. So change is not hard, but you have to have two things to change: consistency and persistence. Consistency means, in a sense, you're doing it over and over. You're building a pattern. You're doing it over. Now, persistence means that you're doing it though you're having pain and you don't feel like doing it in the moment. You're still doing it.
Yeah.
And you're not doing it to do it, because when you do, that's do and it stinks. You got to do with heart, with passion. The word of God says you have not because you ask not. And when you ask amiss. That word amiss means without purpose or without heart. So how many times do we not get the answers to the questions that we're asking? Because we have to ask ourselves, are we really asking questions, or are we giving demands?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times we're giving demands, or we're trying to give out excuses. And so I believe we have not because we ask not, because we don't understand. So let me give you the definition of vision. Vision to me are dreams, aspirations, and goals that are balanced, focused, and set into action. I'll say it again. Vision, they are dreams, goals that are balanced, set into action. That's the thing. And so I messed that up. But the first time I said it right. Yeah. So vision, dreams, aspirations, and goals that are balanced, focused, and set into action. There it is right there. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. And why are we doing it? What's the agenda? What's the motive?
Yeah, exactly.
That right heart. You're doing this because this is a trap, I think, for most people. It is for me. Pride. I don't want to fail, and God forgive me, because I do have pride, and I don't want things to go wrong. I don't want to look bad. I mean, I do all the time. There isn't a day that goes by that I'm all shiny, and pride is the blind spot, I think, in most people's lives, and certainly has been in mine. And I think the closer we get to whatever it is that God's called us to, the more we need. I loved your illustration about the two left hands. I have never heard it put that way, but it's like, hey man, it's like we need each other. I need you on Tuesday. You need me on Wednesday. I need Josh on Friday. You better be there, bro.
Yeah.
and
Absolutely. Yeah.
and because I can't do it all alone. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
in God's word, He says it's not good for man to be alone. It was really
Yeah.
talking about the nature. Our nature is to partner with,
Absolutely.
and to be present for, and to
Absolutely.
participate in, and to collaborate, and connect. And
Yes.
I love the vision that you have. When you say, I love you talked out earlier on in
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
interview about recalibrating. What's your sense that God's doing right now with you? What's the adjustment? What's the move for you guys?
Absolutely, man. So actually, the funny thing is the thing is like we've been praying for God to send us the right people, and the thing is like like most people when they start a foundation or they start a nonprofit, most people start out of need or they start out of having the relationship and having funds to do so.
Yeah,
We did the complete opposite. We started out of nothing but faith because we felt the Lord was doing something new. And the thing is, even with my board, I picked people that had heart. I mean, Still Hope is all about heart. And literally, for the first 10 years of our foundation, we did nothing but support other organizations. And we were behind the scenes being the synergy and basically being the everyday operations of organizations like Global REAP that saying is the mission field for Dave Reaver's ministry, saying and then having boots on the ground, and then also my own foundation in Africa, in Nigeria, which is called Still Hope Foundation. And saying, but because we did not have paid salaries and everything like that, whatever, we had to have either everyday jobs or everything else. So as a motivational speaker, I would go out there and I'd make funds, and then I would do things to raise money. Saying, but then my wife, being a designer, she would build businesses and do crafting and collaboration of building all the branding and stuff for other things. Or we even started businesses out of faith just to pay our volunteers to be able to have the daily operations of Still Hope, so they could volunteer and help us. Because one thing, when my retirement came through, the Lord gave me that freedom of financials for that moment, just for the seed every month to be able to take care of this need or whatever. But rather than saying allowing that money just to be set aside and for me to expect everything to be handed to me, I use that money as a seed, and I went out there and sowed more. I went out there and showed more. I went out there and did more. And then so we use that as seed every day that we could plant in someone else's garden. And we gave them those tools and the resources to be able to build. And then that's why we have the fruit that we have all over the world. And the funny thing is, my director, his name is Mayowa, and so he's originally from Nigeria, and so I met him online. And the thing is, like, we connected in college. We connected after I had a stroke and after I went through what's called voc rehab. And we connected with a program called SIFE, Students in Free Enterprise, that later on became Enactus. And so I was at Central Texas College. He was in Nigeria. And the thing is, so soon as you go and you start doing competitions with SIFE, Students in Free Enterprise, these are all business degrees and stuff like that, business
yeah,
majors and all that. And so I did this as an elective, but I did this like as a challenge as well. And so in 2009, my group, right after I had the stroke, my group went on in June. I resigned as the officer in June. I think it was in July. They went and took number one in the nation. They were on the Wheaties box in 2009.
wow,
The Cypher Enterprise that became Enactus, and my group was there. But the thing is, Mayowa's group went and took number three in the world. And so, but how we collaborated is like, because once you get to state level, so Central Texas College for 13 years in a row, that college got number one in the state of Texas. So then we went to national level every single year. We just had a good program. We had good leadership, good core leadership and stuff like that. And Dr. Frith was my professor, and he was former Army, and he was limber enough where, he was probably maybe 5'2", something like that, but he literally could jump from the floor on top of the big tables.
oh my
And and he was probably in his late 60s or 70s at that time. You know what I'm saying? Dr. John Frith is his name. Amazing guy, amazing guy. And he had such zeal and passion that he kept us going. Like, he really did. And so how we connected with Nigeria is we had to do an out of country project. So then we started working with basically humanitarian services. So we started working with like water pass, like basically like doing like water filtration and sanitation. So I built a program over there, and then over in America, he did a micro grant. So let's say their Team Africa put together $500, and we matched the funds to be $1,000. We did a micro grant for someone to borrow $1,000 to be able to start like a hot dog stand. And then they paid back with interest, and then that micro grant allowed other things to happen. So they were able to sell hot dogs on the campus and stuff. So those are some of the things that we did. So as I built my foundation, I was working directly with Dan Dang, John, and so which he runs the missions for Dave Reaver. He's originally from Vietnam. Um, and the funny thing is, in 1969, Dave was injured, right? In 1974, he went back, and he went back with a message of hope and inspiration. This was his message, very simple. He said, "I first came here with my M16. Now I come back with John 3:16." Well, little to know, there was a 13-year-old boy that was listening to that message, and his name is Dan Dang, and he was part of the original boat people that he was put on a boat by his family, and they landed in Guam. And how he became part of what Dave Reaver's organization was, he was actually in Lake Worth, right where Al Banker's insurance something used to be there and stuff. Dave Reaver used to have his headquarters there. That's where he used to have the whole plaza there, and there was a Radio Shack there. And Dan Dang just became like I think he was like either vice president or junior vice president or something like that over Radio Shack. He was over like 120 some odd stores, and he was there visiting a store, and he saw the name Reaver, Dave Reaver's Ministries, and he went in there to see, is this the same Reaver? And I believe Al Reaver was there, but he saw, this is Dave Reaver, and so he took a leap of faith, and he I think it was a few months or something like that, whatever, but he ended up quitting his job as a junior executive for Radio Shack, and took a leap of faith and started Reap International, which became REA, Reaver Evangelistic Association. And so I got to work directly with Dan Dang. Matter of fact, Dan went with me in 2015 and 2016 over to Africa, to Nigeria. Actually, in 2016 is when he went. I went in 2015 and stuff. But we went over there, and we actually opened up Dave's ministry and Global Reap into Africa. And 3 days after we left there was a hostile situation that happened, and Pastor Ben, who opened up in Makoko Village, he was brutally attacked and was hospitalized. And Maya had to go on a run because of persecution. Because, like I said, little did we know, when we were feeding children in Africa, when we were bringing discipleship and doing youth leadership academies, feeding them and clothing them and giving them the needs that they needed in their country, that we were literally uprooting the ISIS movement over there in Makoko Village, and we had no idea that Boko Haram was there. That was his training grounds. That was like I said, that was the Tikrit, Iraq of 2003.
Stepped right into a hornet's nest, didn't you?
Absolutely. And so my director, we tried to emergency bring him over, Maiwa, over to the United States, because him being young, and because us being a very small organization and stuff, they saw it as a flight risk. They shut the border and stuff. So we began to pray, and Maiwa said, "I have contacts in Canada. I have brothers that are originally from there. If you can get me to Canada, my brothers can take care of me there. If you can just put a seed, brother, trust me, put a seed." Well, let me tell you guys, that's how I started my foundation. Because what was happening is in early 2014, that's when Boko Haram took the girls captive. 2 weeks before this is when I started my seed foundation in Lagos, Nigeria, as Still Hope Foundation, as a human service organization, NGO. And I thought we were going to just work with sanitation and education. I did not realize that we were literally going to be a mouthpiece for the culture, to give women and children a voice in Africa, because their culture doesn't. And then nothing's free over there. And so we had no idea. So literally what was supposed to happen was I was supposed to go to Vietnam. I had everything planned on the trip, this, that, and the other. And there was a persecution that happened. And I don't want to go into great detail of what happened there in Vietnam, but they basically, it was an uprising, and there was pastors that got hurt. And they said, Joshua, it's not safe for you to be there. And so, but I already had seed money to go. So then, I mean, I'm like, Lord, I just need direction. And I love globes. And I spun the globe, guys, and I put my finger down, and my finger began to burn as I'm just asking God to give me direction. My finger began to burn, and I know it was nerves, but God uses the natural to do the supernatural, guys. My wife actually said her very first quote is that extraordinary lives are lived out in ordinary moments. Extraordinary lives are lived out in ordinary moments. And it was an ordinary moment that I spun the globe and I put my finger on it, and my finger began to burn. And as I looked down, I had to even get a magnifying glass to even understand. I didn't know what Lagos, Nigeria was. But as I turned the globe, I look around, the Lord showed me the heart of Africa. And literally, it was a broken heart. It was a shattered heart. And I was like, I don't even know anybody there. And next thing you know, guys, I received an email from Iowa telling me, brother, that, saying, and we had kept in contact, but he had no idea that I was looking at doing something in Africa. This was moments later. I received an email from him saying, brother, I believe that Nigerians can touch Africa, and I believe Africa can help change the world. And so me and Crystal, we were praying, is there anybody like me and Crystal out there that just want to share the Father's heart and just wants to see God's glory shine upon all men? Just want to see people find hope no matter what else happens. You know what I'm saying? Have that Father's heart, have that Father's fire, be that refiner's fire. And as we began to ask, is there anybody like us? God highlighted Maiwa. And then here we are as the recalibration. Here I am, you know what I'm saying? When I first started my foundation, guys, I started out of faith. And then as things begin to come together, it's like all these other things come together. And it's not the fact that we've lost the fire or we've lost the heart. It's like the Lord is like shifted things. And 4 years ago, if you would ask me, people did. They interviewed me. They asked me, they hey, Josh, I got you figured out, the man of steel. I said, okay, tell me. They said, you got the right mindset. And I used to say yes. But let me tell you, 4 years ago, December 21st, 2022, guys, I turned in a closet. But even that year, in 2022, the Lord gave me and Crystal a vision. And in 2019, during COVID, we actually did a show, a small little YouTube channel on YouTube called Step Out, a show. Still training and educational programs out. Obedience, unity, transparency. And we did 22 episodes. Now, we didn't know, but on the 22nd episode, the Lord gave me a word: shift happens. When you silence your fears, it automatically activates faith, and it happens. So let me go back to Hebrews 11, where it says, this is how you know you have faith in action. This is how you know that your faith is alive, guys, that you got the switch and it's activated. Go back to the word. It says, Hebrews 11 says, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So this is the question that we want to ask, and this is the answer that God gave me. Substance is what you feel. You feel different. Evidence is what others see. People see a difference in you. I saw a difference because I remember what I asked my wife. This is what became a breaking point of Joshua Holm, is I remember asking my wife, what is it that you have that I don't have? Guys, I was in a drunkard. I was angry at God because of things that happened in my life, this, that, and the other. And this is what my wife said. One single tear drop went down her eye. And she said, babe, you've got religion, but I've got Jesus. It crumbled me. It crumbled me. Dave Reaver, I remember being at a family camp. I put it in my second book after the fall. I said, God, what is it that Dave Reaver has that I don't have? This is what God shows me. He begins to show me Dave Reaver's burnt face. And I begin to see a pulsating of a heart. And God showed me, Dave is, you've covered your scars. Dave has embraced his. So from that point on, every time I had those braces on, I began to wear the braces on the outside of my pants. Not because at first I had everything covered because my mindset was that I was wounded, and wounded meant weak. But what happened was on December 21st of 2022, the shift happened. And God told me the shift was going to happen before the shift happened, guys. And I turned. And when I turned, I just heard a loud pop in my neck, and I lost feeling from the neck down. I couldn't feel from mid chest, basically from here, this point on, I couldn't feel. And so they took me to trauma one. The neurosurgeons, they looked at me and they basically said, you have a stripped screw. They said, it's pretty much like sheetrock. You have nothing to hold that nerve there. You have no response to that nerve. We can do emergency surgery. I said, what is the guarantee that I'll be able to walk again? They said, we can't give you any guarantee. I said, well, I can't let you do that surgery then. I said, what's plan B? They said, we can put you in intense rehab. I said, give me rehab. I spent 66 days in rehab. I got back to the house. I had no response, upper body. The only thing I gotten stronger when I was in the rehab, this and the other. And so just so all the viewers and everything, I'm like Jonathan, I'm in the chair, guys. I can't feel from like mid chest, but I'm adaptive fitness athlete, and I've learned master manipulation. So that's my hand opening naturally. But God has given me the ability where I can use tricep and bicep, and then I can open the hand. And eventually I can free the hand. Eventually I can stop the tremors. They shake for a little bit, but they'll stop. But if I do it just natural, it's almost like I love you. It's an amazing thing, but it's crazy. That's how it is. My hand every day wants to go down because it's more comfortable. It's going to go. But you got to think about, guys, every single day, we started with this cross. Remember how we talked about when we first started this thing? You got to pick up your cross daily, and you got to follow Jesus. Yeah. Some days that cross is going to be heavy because you're going to bear it. Other days, that cross has no weight because you have to carry it, but you don't have to bear it. And so I tell people in life, this is what happens. The same wind, the same rain, storms are going to come, guys. But what are you going to do? Are you going to bury down in fear? Are you going to activate faith and fly? That storm is either going to bury you or carry you. It can't do both. Everything in life, guys, is either fuels you or it frustrates you. You can't do both. Every single day, you either dwell or you draw from the well. You can't do both.
Come on. That's good.
So at the end of the day, guys, I mean, I started my foundation out of faith. So this is where I'm at. The recalibration is the Lord is bringing new people. I believe Jonathan is one of those people that God is putting in the forefront. God told me, if you build it, Joshua, they shall come. I literally, next door, my neighbor has been building a boat, literally a ship, for 40 years, guys.
What?
40 years. Yes. From ground up. I mean, it's probably a 60-foot ship up there. It's on top of a big hill.
Is his name Noah?
No, I call him Obey. His name is Dale. His name is Dale. No, but the funny thing is like God gave me a seed and gave me this inspiration and stuff. And there's a reason why we don't live at the ranch. God gave me 3 visions for that ranch. Preserve the history, restore the value, and repurpose it for others. And because it's about others and it's not about us and it's not about me or Crystal, we have to be from there. And Jonathan knows, but I've been offered 3 homes, 3 mortgage-free homes. And this is another correlation. I'm not sure if you know this, John, but I was offered the 300th home. In February of 2022, I was offered the 300th home for Building Homes for Heroes. And guess who got that? Mr. Jonathan Merchant right there. Because we prayed about it. And the Lord showed us it was for somebody else. And so I sent the paperwork over to John Rural, and then I also sent a recommendation out for Jonathan. Because it's not about being seen, guys, but it's about sowing where others can see the impact that you can make. There's 3 things that I want people to do with Still Hope. I want that we all can do 3 things: sow, share, and see. Sow means that you can do something of value. Some people, they don't have money, but you know what they have is they have the ability to pray. So I want you to sow a prayer right here into this ministry and this organization. I need you to pray for my organization, for guidance and for direction and for building this. Good. Because God's already has his hand on it. My hands are off of it. So this is the next steps of Still Hope. Still Freedom Ranch. The reason why it's called Still Freedom Ranch is not Joshua's ministry or home ministry or anything like that, is because it's not about us. Because I believe if I was to die today, I believe tomorrow Jonathan's going to carry that torch. My wife might pick the torch up to today and carry it. But what we don't see is, guys, I think a lot of times why people get discouraged, especially in the seasoned aspect of faith, is they become what I call dynamite Christians. And dynamite Christians, that can be a yay or an a. It can be a yin or a yang. It all depends how you look at it. The one thing about dynamite is that it's very explosive, but you realize the older it is, the less stable it is. And it doesn't even have to be lit when it's older to be ignited. My grandfather used to keep dynamite in the fridge at his farm. And he did that because it would stay more stable like that. So he kept it in an old fridge. Because the thing is, and so how many Christians are dynamite Christians? How many people, when they get seasoned in the faith, they become just a teacher and no longer being taught? I believe everybody in every walk, I learned that as a Christian, as a minister, even as an athlete, I learned to grow up, but never grow old. My very first speaker for Unity Field was 100 years old. And I'm hoping in November that Dave Reaver's going to be the speaker. And I remember he told me this just a few months back. He said, Joshua, he said, I owe you one. Yeah, I said, well, I said, I'd be honored if you'd be the speaker for November. And he was like, well, he's like, I'm 80 years old. I said, well, I said, my first speaker was 100 years old. You got 20 years to go. Let's go. You got a long ways. But that's the thing, guys. Like, we don't know. But I can tell you this. I've been praying for people like Jonathan and his beautiful wife to come along, because the Lord said, if you build it, they shall come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And God gave me a vision for building something nobody else is building. And why? Yeah. Why they're not building it is not because they haven't been told to build it. Let me tell you, John Bevere wrote a book that I was supposed to write that God gave me called Kryptonite. I was supposed to write that book. And because I wasn't obedient, God gave it to him. And you know what? I bought the book. I probably shared it, with hundreds of people. It's a beautiful book. And I'm not mad at God. I'm not mad at John Bevere. I'm mad at me that I didn't do what the Lord told me to do. Now, he's given me more. And the thing is, sometimes he's going to give you something that you are to write and never publish, because it's educational materials. And that was the power of steel. That was my very first program. And then sometimes you're gonna hear things, and things are gonna happen by mistake, but it's not a mistake. It was all meant to be. I remember when my wife, when we were writing our devotion called Hebrews, she had the drafts and everything like that. She put her coffee cup down, and it left a ring on the paper. Well, guess what she did, guys? She put a watermark in every one of the chapters from that. She designed it around what it meant to be an accident, became part of the plan.
Yeah.
And so how many times, so here it is, this was what they call a freak accident, but what the Lord spoke to me when I was in a helicopter on Trauma 1, he said, this time it's for others. The reason I'm in the chair this time, guys, is not for me. It's for others. The reason why I had to lose my voice is because my wife had to find the value of her voice. And if I would never shut my mouth, she would have never been able to speak. And that's a problem I have right now, because I hear I'm on your podcast and I'm speaking more. And I want to say I'm sorry, but also I want to thank you guys for sharing this platform, because let me tell you, I believe everyone needs this freedom, guys, to be able to come on and share their heart and soul. And this is a wine press. This is my wife's vision. We're right now, God is building an altar within these three. A 3-chord strand is not easily broken, guys.
Come on.
Right. And that's the thing. God is doing new things. I see a new spark in John. I see a new spark in Jonathan down here. You know what I'm saying? And there's audience right here. You guys haven't even heard what we're speaking, but yet guess what? God's already, putting things in you. And this is the thing. I think a lot of times, guys, that we're asking the wrong question. So, we got to stop allowing the enemy to use our eyes and stop magnifying things that God's not saying to magnify. You know what I'm saying? We really need to minimize these things. But we got to realize, guys, that the word of God is simple, guys. That even a child, we have to have that childlike faith. So if this brain injury patient guy can learn how to be a life coach, lifting individuals for eternity, begin to speak through life, and then begin to teach people through more than basics, building all situation inwardly and conquering season, to understand that there's more than faith or fear, that there's more than that. And fear is faithless expectation accepted as reality. And faith is fully accepting, identified, trusting, and honoring. Guys, if I can spit all these words of wisdom and insight out there, then what can you do? What is the one thing that you can do today, tonight, tomorrow? Stop looking at what you could have done yesterday and do what you can do today, and know that there's a beautiful and brighter tomorrow because of the seeds and because of the doubts that you're crushing. You know what I'm saying? Literally, guys, you've got to get back in the wine press. I make the best lemonade. You know why I do it? I do it because it's a process of my pain, guys. It's me processing my pain and giving a product of of perfection out there. And you can't cheat it. I mean, Jonathan's had it. It's great lemonade. Why?
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Because I don't use powder, guys. I use the natural ingredients. So if we would just be the natural men, the natural women, and we would begin to give grace to ourselves and find grip and grit for today and tomorrow, guys, that's what it's all about. Because unless you have something to adhere, then the only way you can adhere is to have the abrasive surface to be able to adhere. And the thing is, like, if I make a lemonade without lemon, guess what? I don't have a lemonade. I have lemon flavored water. There's a difference.
Yeah.
So there's a process that we got to go through, guys. There's a squeezing. There's a wine press, guys. And that's what God gave me, guys. God gave me a new wineskin. That was what my wife was praying for. And in the natural, everything had to be exposed. Everything had to be done. But in the supernatural, let me tell you, I have not choked. The surgeons looked at it and they said, they literally, the surgeon that did the procedure, she's been one of the top GI surgeons around the globe for over 30 years. And she told me the day before she went in for the procedure to look at everything. And she said, I want to let you know, Mr. Holm. She's like, you couldn't speak at the time. And she said, but I'm a praying woman. I prayed over you. And she said, let me tell you, you're a miracle. It's a miracle for you to be here. And then she called me the next day because she wasn't there for the procedure. She went and looked at the results of everything. She said, let me tell you, the esophagus that I saw and the esophagus that I worked on, they're two different esophagus.
Wow.
She said, I can see every scar because literally what she had to do, guys, is they had to go in and your esophagus is like a straw. And it's very thin and it's surrounded on all these organs. And it goes all the way down, all the way to the stomach. There's nothing there but organs. And so it's like a big tube. And so I literally had, like I said, 25 centimeters of 19 centimeters were torn. So, I mean, less than six centimeters total. I mean, they basically said, look, like Freddy Krueger came in there and just, Jason just cut me with all the knives. I mean, I was shredded. But this is what she said. The next day she called me and she said, Mr. Holm, she said, I told you you're a miracle. She said, but I want to let you know I saw a miracle. She said, the esophagus that you have and the esophagus that I worked on are two different ones. And let me tell you guys, that has, and I was literally considered one of the highest risk cases of GI.
Wow.
That, I mean, and every single, and like I said, I was miserable, but God gave me a new wineskin. But let me tell you, old wineskin cannot hold new wine because there's a lot of pressure in new wine. There's a lot of bloating. There's a lot of stuff that's going to happen. But you know what, guys? I have not choked. I have been able to eat every single thing that I put my lips on. You know what I'm saying? I've been able to drink. I've been able to do whatever. I mean, I've had no issues whatsoever. Because why? Because God gave me a new wineskin.
Amen. Amen. I'm going to jump off, take us to a landing, a controlled crash.
Let's do it.
And I just want to encourage you because, you talk about recalibrating, and the Lord was drawing my attention to Ecclesiastes chapter 3. This is that portion of scripture that talks about times and seasons. And
yes.
I'm going to paraphrase. The John Cordero version here from the Outcast Network is there's a time to pick up and there's a time to lay down. And here's what I see from the Father is he says that unless we will trust him in the laying down, those who are called to pick up will never receive what's theirs for the next season.
Yeah.
And you'll not be able to take and receive for yourself what God has for your next season. I just prophetically will say to you, I see that there's more activity coming your way.
Yes. Amen.
I see you standing in a measure that's going to be moving more people and providing more opportunities than what you've already taken hold of.
Wow. That's awesome, brother.
And it comes back to that place of the Father saying he trusts you. You are a new wineskin, and it's time for the wine to be poured in so that it can be poured out.
Absolutely.
So, I think the invitation for Jonathan, he and I talked about it a little bit the other day. And, honestly, my reflection was because I've been in ministry for decades, and I've often come beside or behind other people and helped them when it cost me. And it wasn't always a God thing. And because it's just my nature. I just feel that's to basically lift people up, come beside them, help them move forward, and I have to wonder, what would my own ministry, what did it cost me? What did it cost others? And so it's like there's no straight line. The kingdom is not a straight line.
Nope.
It's, we're over here, we're over there. We take 3 steps back to get 4 steps forward. It's like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
But all of it, Jesus is right there with me. And it's like, aren't you enjoying this dance? Isn't this great? It's like, not so much, not all the time.
Well, see, it's awesome because when you see here, you can see the flags behind me, right? So the thing is, so this was a picture that I took with my iPhone, saying when the sun was setting.
Beautiful.
And everyone thinks it's like an artistic piece because it's so beautiful. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful setting. But the thing is, I think sometimes we have to put the groundwork down, John. So then we can zoom out and we can see the full picture.
Yeah.
Because what I didn't know this is that something just said 300 to 500 flags. So then I put 500 flags and I was like, guys, all right, look, I wanted to go bigger. So then I was like, but I want there to be a row and another row like this. Little did I know until a friend of mine did an aerial drone that it was actually shaped like a cross. But I didn't know that. And then so later on, what I did is I wanted to highlight the rows. So I actually put solar lamps outside the flags and then became a flaming cross at night from the aerial drone. And it's like, but sometimes you can't see the big picture because you're not putting the groundwork down. And if I wouldn't have had the faith to be able to trust that, saying here I'm gonna go, because if you're willing to sow into a place that can't sow back into you, think about it. Okay, so I was willing to go to Vietnam. I had no experience in Vietnam. I was going because to sow back into my mentor's organization, to go back and to sow back into Dan, his motherland. I was willing to do that selflessly, and I was willing to do that, and that was a test of the Father. And then so since I was willing to go, God's like, okay, I can trust you with more. So then, boom, little did we know that I would put a seed into the desert, is what I call it, and that's what the Lord gave me. He gave me a little vision, and I literally saw I saw in the middle of the desert. It was saying the bird picked it up, picked up the seed, saying that was there, and then it picked it up and flew it to the top of a mountain, and there's like a little like a little squirrel, something like that, like a little groundhog or something like that, a little prairie dog, dug a hole and put it in there, and it was a beautiful tree. But that tree wouldn't have never came from the desert and went to the mountain if it wasn't for me putting. So when I saw the desert guys, I was thinking I was going to have to go back to Iraq where I served. I thought I was going to have to sow over there in ministry and this and the other. But when I put boots on the ground, 2 weeks later, like I said, that's when Boko Haram took the girls captive. And then that first book, Jonathan, that you just read that I wrote with 2 fingers, that became a program called the Plight of the African Child. They used that in a trafficking aspect for women and children. They even taught their military, you know what I'm saying, this is in 2000, and this is in 2014. And they put Still Hope Nigeria on this thing. And for our foundation to even get started over there, I mean, there's no red tape, but Nigeria is not like all of Africa. That's like the Big Apple of Africa. And to give you the demographics, so here we are. We know Fort Worth, you know, and we know how bad the traffic can be like that. But imagine 6 Houstons on top of each other. That's what we're dealing with over there. So imagine you have the entire population of Texas in Fort Worth. Lagos, Nigeria is 2 more square miles than Fort Worth and has over 30 million people in that one area.
My word.
Wow.
But what people don't see is that there is a revival that's been going on for years there, because there's a place called the Redemption Camp that used to be 100% Muslim regime. It used to be concentration controlled camp. And now, guys, it is 100% Christian. It's ran by a group called the Redemption Christian Church of God. They have a Holy Ghost worshipers group that gathers. So so when I went over there first in 2015, when I first went over there, I got to go and preach and got to go do some outreach and everything in the Redemption Camp. And I literally got to go. Okay, so imagine the DFW airport. Imagine the biggest hangar there, the biggest hangar. Now imagine someone taking lawn chairs and opening that hangar and going as far as you can. Imagine a church revival like that, guys, but 10 times bigger. That's what they have. They have a Holy Ghost service that goes one time, you know, they usually do a service. You know what I'm saying? At one time, it used to be over 4 million people. Now it's over 15 million people that gather on the city of a hill. And the largest church in all of Africa is in Nigeria, and it's called Winter's Chapel. And in 2014, I had an opportunity to go and speak at that church. But instead, the Lord pressed on my heart to go speak at one of the poorest regions of all of Africa, in a little teeny town surrounded by water called Makoko Village, where I would literally go and hold the hands of a king named King Bala Jeje and feed 1,000 children with just seed money that the Lord impressed in my heart to my foundation.
Wow.
And guys, if I can do that on seed, imagine how much more we can do with the strength of the Lord behind us and with everything else we're doing. Because we're taking your wits, John. We're taking your wits, Jonathan, and you know what I'm saying, and we're collaborating. And so I know that Still Freedom Ranch is going to be, it's a 1 to 7 day retreat for veteran first responders and the families to come, but it's also going to be a hub. It's going to be a nation. It's good. I mean, right now it's going to be the first nation rural area outreach. And we had a tornado that came and tried to destroy everything around us. But you know what? It was a test to see, are we willing to cower in fear? Are we going to rise up and fight for our faith? And are we going to finish strong? And John, you said something that really spoke to my heart, because my very first sermon I took to Africa was called Cup for the King. A cup for the king means, in the sense that you were made in this world, but you were never made of this world.
Yeah.
But the day you stop pouring in, pour out to others, then God, the invisible hand of God, stops pouring into you. And a lot of people, all they see is a hand pouring out. They can't see the invisible hand of God pouring in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, but that's it. That's it. And like I said, you can either dwell or draw from the well. And you said something about standing again. And it says in Ephesians, and I'm saying, when you've been fully equipped, it says, when you've done all you can to fight, still stand.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the thing. And so that word still is standing, transforming, encouraging, and loving. And the thing is, the word of God says that the first shall be last and last shall be first. And if God gave me this, then when I put God first, which is loving, okay, this is an action. So loving, enlightening, encouraging, transforming, standing, guys, standing.
Yeah.
And so what you didn't know, John, is that I've been asked to be the national spokesperson. I'm a paralyzed veteran, but I've been asked to be put into a exoskeleton suit through a group called Wondercraft. It's called Finish This Fight Foundation. As we speak, I've already been vetted. Jonathan is already in the. I'm already talking about Jonathan right there, because they're looking at raising enough money to put 100 paralyzed veterans back on their feet to an exoskeleton suit. We're not talking about therapy. We're talking about an individual suits that these men and women of faith and courage that have fought for our country are going to be able to stand again. You're going to be able to, I mean, because I know you're dancing right now, but you're going to be able to dance again with your wife on your feet, bro.
I can't wait.
These things are happening. And they've asked me to be the voice nationwide as a spokesperson nationwide. And they won't, and so because they wanted me to be the one, they want me to help reach the other 99. And so that is another reason why I know everything is happening. Because the other thing is they asked me, they said, where do you have more people at? New York, Washington, D.C., California, Florida, or Texas? And I was like, well, I'm from Arkansas. I'm like, but I'm a Texan. So I'm born in Arkansas, chose to be a Texan. So, but Texas is where I have more people. And so, but the reason I went to New York for the walking therapy and stuff like that was because there was only two in the country, and one was in California and one was in New York. And so we went to New York. And as we speak, you didn't know this, but there's already one in Dallas. They just brought the Alani suit, which is the therapy suit that you saw me walking in with the unit. But
Yes.
it is the very first GI driven, which means it is hands free operation of a physical therapy unit that you would be walking in, where your hands are actually free. You're not on assistance, and you're on a tether, so you're walking, but you're upright, which means in a sense that you're walking. And the suit that I'll be wearing, and once everything happens, all the funding, everything come together with yourself and all these other people, is this suit is called the Eve. And the Eve is a full robotic suit that basically has a joystick either on the leg or in the hand that will be operating like a wheelchair. So they teach you a calibration aspect of it. But yeah, it is a hands-free robot suit that is 100% fitted uh, for the user. And let me tell you, guys, God is doing some miraculous things. And
Yeah.
and I thought I did a lot being an athlete. I mean, I didn't know this at the time, but I had opportunity to be a Paralympic, and I prayed about it, and the Lord showed me to be a coach instead. So in the last 20 years, I've been a minister. I've been a chaplain. I've worked with Dave's ministry. I've been able to do a lot of amazing things. I worked with Fort Worth Police Department through a group called Kappa Clergy and Police Alliance, where I worked with 1,613 officers there. Seen a lot of miracles and a lot of great things happen. I became one of 50 that could do push-ups on 2 fingers with the use of weights on their body. 50, and we're looking at 22 pounds of braces that I walked with for 10 years, being told I never would walk ever again, guys. But there was 3 things that I did every day back then: strap on, shut up, and step out. And so I think as I'm wrapping everything up on my side here, I would like to say these principles because it's going to happen again.
No, that's good.
Strap on. Strap on means find security outside yourself.
Yeah.
Shut up. We don't like to hear that word, but the truth is going to set us free. Shut up means shut off the pain and shut off the excuses. Shut up the pain and shut off the excuses. Allow it to be like a co-engine where literally it's priming you, it's getting you ready. A locomotive, guys, cannot move without having that steam, without getting those engines going. A jet cannot hit Mach 5 without going to a Mach 1 first. Have to go through Mach 1 to hit Mach 5 to Mach 6 and beyond, guys. So the thing is, if you cannot see the starting line, you'll never make the finish line. So, but this is it. Strap on, shut up, and step out. Step out. That means get out of your comfort zone and help somebody today. We all can do something. We can sow, we can share, and together we get to see. We get to see the impact and this nation does. And it's funny, I started with what I was telling you about Dave Reaver. So correlation is I could have served with any group in the entire United States military, but yet God had a divine plan for me to serve with 316 FE. 316. Remember how Dave went over there with his M16 and went back with John 3:16?
Yeah.
And the Lord gave me a vision for reaching the one. In 2011, even before I started my foundation, the Lord said, reach one and then teach one to reach one and then reach one to teach one to reach one. So as a mentor, that's what that's about. It's about reaching one, Cody. It's about reaching one, Jonathan. It's about reaching one, John Aruro. It's about reaching one Chad Robichaux. It's about reaching one Spencer. It's about reaching one Mary Gaither. It's about reaching one Beverly Shoemaker. It's about reaching one Mayowa Oduwasina. It's about reaching one Ethan Holm, my son. Reach one and then teach one to reach one. And guys, at the end of the day, I think sometimes we get so discouraged because we're down. But you got to begin to allow the enemy, you got to shut up the enemy, guys, and you got to shut off the excuses. An excuse is it's an exemption of action. So if you X out what you could use to take yourself out of action, then you cannot not be used. You literally are a cup for the king, guys. You are not limited.
Amen.
You are made to be broken, because without being broken, you can never be open and never be used.
Yeah.
Interesting how Jesus says, where the weak will be strong.
Yes,
in him.
that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, Philippians 4:13 says, "I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength."
Yes.
We all want strength, but yet we don't want to realize that we're weak. But it says in that same word, it says, "Through our weakness, Christ is made strong."
Yes.
So I tell people all the time, I said, stop being a thermometer and start being a thermostat.
Come on.
You set
Talk my
the atmosphere.
language.
You set the atmosphere you walk, breathe, and live in. And it really is about that mind shift, not a
Yes.
mindset. Because when you're set, you'll never change. But when you shift, when you silence your fears, it activates faith. And it happens. It happens.
Brilliant. Well, this has been an amazing interview. I think we could probably, I don't know if you ever watch Sean Ryan podcast, but he will have people on and he'll just go until they're done. And,
Yeah, been there, done
that. I love that context. Unfortunately, the day is done at my end of the world. I'm over on the East Coast now, not down Texas where my heart is. I'm a Texan by heart too. And,
yeah.
man, I've so enjoyed this time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what God's going to do. This whole thing about being the representer of what God can do through
Absolutely.
These miraculous opportunities for men and women who could be given their mobility back through these life suits. Man, it's just, I'm thrilled. I want to hear about this going forward. I'd love it if you'd come back and share that journey with us.
Well,
And I think God's getting ready to unpack more as well for Steel Hope Ranch. I think there's bigger fish that he wants to fry and greater opportunities that are at hand. And perhaps, Jonathan, you need to look at this as the opportunity to get the training you need for your ranch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe because of the little you've been faithful in your little, maybe this is where it's more of a national view rather than a local view. So
absolutely. I think too, John. Having three J's here, J and J. Big J, little J, and consistent J over here.
OJ.
OJ. Okay. Okay. Hey, the glove didn't fit. Only Jesus. OJ is only Jesus. Let's go.
Come on.
Yeah, that's the only juice we need is Jesus.
That's
but
right.
I also have a podcast that the Lord's been really putting in my heart. I mean, I've had it for some time. It's been underground. It's called Still Pod, a place of deliverance. And the thing is, I would love to have you both as a guest in, because I would like to ask a question. Because honestly, though, guys, I think having the questions like this, I think getting live people in there where people can email you guys questions that you can ask some of your guests like that, and we can get the answers. Because I think by doing that, I think we can tap into a whole nother element. And with social media, I mean, there are so many different avenues. I mean, like I said, my wife was given an opportunity to be on. I mean, she actually owns an agency on TikTok. And people like TikTok, but the thing is, the Lord said, I'm shifting the tides, and said, saying that the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous.
Come on.
And let me tell you,
that's right.
And so it's a tool. It's not torment. This is a tool. And the thing is, like, I'm saying that God is using even TikTok, guys. I understand people are not for it, but let me tell you, guys, you don't have to be for it for God not to be in it, because God's in it. God's in the miracle making business. God's not in politics, but guess what? He can speak to politicians. God is not into the political backbiting, but guess what? He can speak to the most crooked and look at Zacchaeus, guys. He was a money exchanger. He was a robber. He was a robber.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Jesus said, I'm coming to your house. I'm coming to your house today. So guess what? He was high and mighty in the little tree because he was a little man. But guess what? He went down and he went and got himself ready. He went and got himself ready. So let me tell you guys, right here in your audience, guys, get ready. God's doing some new things.
That's
in
right.
new seasons, in new ways. And this is not just a robotic. I know this is an AI generation, a microwave. You guys feel like this is my claim it and grab it type thing. Let me tell you, God doesn't work like that, guys. But let me tell you, manna is for the day. Don't be selfish. Don't hold it for the next day. Let it all go today and know that there's a new dew for the new day. I mean, that's how I start my document. It's a DUE, guys. There's a new dew. God puts a new moisture on the earth every single day, guys.
Brilliant.
So stop acting like you're being owed something. DUE. Stop with the entitlements. Stop with the empowerments. Stop with all the bickering and backbiting. Stop with your political agendas. Stop with your personal attacks. Stop with your racial slurs. Stop with the discrimination. Stop with the gender reveal aspect of being this or that and the other. Listen, guys, let's turn to the way side, not the nay side. There's three people, and there's three people in life, guys. There's the haters, there's debaters, and there's celebrators. So let's be a celebrator. Let's celebrate everybody's victory.
Come on.
Everybody's victory. And know
That's
that
right.
there's enough room on this platform and every other social media platform that we don't have to do the 3 C's. I call them 3 C's, guys. So if you guys remember, and so this is the hidden agenda. And I want to teach you this real quick before I know we got to go, but I'm going to tell you guys 3 C's. Okay. So, Moses had a rod, and when he put it down, it became a serpent, right? Okay. So there's a C, okay, the word comply, but there's 3 other hidden C's that are snakes that you can't even hear them when you say them. When you hear the word selfish, you hear the snake, right?
Right.
But let me tell you what God told me the 3 C's were, guys. Compete, compare, complain. Did you hear a snake? No, they're hidden. That's what the enemy wants you to be blinded by, guys. He wants you to be caught up in competing, complaining, or comparing. Then you can't comply. But when you comply, it eats up these other 3 snakes, and you have a rod again. And when you put it down, you have a serpent that's going to protect you. When you're weak, God is strong. When you're sleeping, he's protecting you. The Spirit of God is all around you, protecting you to and fro. And when it's time to wake up, guess what? He gives you the authority, the scepter that's in your hand, that literally when the Lord tells you to do something, you better know that it's going to be that Esther faith. You're going to have the ability that you have favor of kings, and yet you're not even royalty. Guys, she wasn't made to be royalty, but she chose to be royalty. We can choose to be chosen, or we can choose to be frozen, guys. That's the thing. What are we doing? Are we going to allow everything in life to catapult us or capsize us? It's up to you. So I love each and every one of you guys. Thank y'all so much for allowing me to speak into your heart.
Thank you, Josh.
And sharing it.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, man. Bless you. Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys.
Looking forward to catching up soon. Thanks for joining us today for the Unlimited Podcast. We hope our time together has inspired and encouraged you. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe on your YouTube channel, or go to theoutcastnetwork.org and register for this and many other opportunities to experience your unlimited upgrades.